when you want something, you look for it, right? So like the reason why I say it is when I moved from Nova Scotia to Montreal, I didn't know anybody. When the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? The
Yeah.
first teacher that appeared was Axel. I saw the meetup group of Axel's meetup group, right? And then once I went in, it was just mind blowing. So when you're in a room of people with like-minded people, you tend to learn so much, which is beyond addictive. That's how when you say pivotal journey, it's like pivoting your mindset, right? Like it only happens when you pivot your mindset. When people say, "Oh, I pivoted my journey," it's because the more book you read, the more you're exposed, the more you network, the more people you talk to, right?
Yeah.
And then the more people you talk to, you get more knowledge about that, right?
Hello, and welcome back to the Very Real Estate Effect podcast, a show dedicated to real estate investing right here in Quebec. And today, I'm very pleased to have my friend Bava on. Hi, how's it going, man?
Hey, good, Axel. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm quite happy to have you on the show. We've met about 2 years ago, and I'm going to jump into like how we met and how we got here and stuff like that. But before I do that, I just want to remind everyone, it really helps if you help me, everyone who's listening. So please subscribe to the show, share it with a friend, leave us a review, send me some comments and some feedback. And if you have any ideas of guests of who could be on, it would be really helpful because I'm always looking for interesting real estate investors and professionals to interview. So thank you very much for your support. Now, Bava, is it okay with you if I share how we started as a friendship? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So about 2 years ago, when we started the Real Estate Effect meetup online, because it was during the pandemic, Bava joined, and Bava said, "Oh, I want to buy a duplex in Longueuil. I'm looking for a property," and so on and so forth. And Bava was actually proactive, and he did what he had to do, which is like do the homework and do the research and stuff like that. And he actually closed on some properties. So, and then had and been able to grow and scale. So I'm hoping we can start with kind of like talking about your first deal.
Sure. Just to give an introduction about people who are listening, I'm just another normal human being that you guys see on a day-to-day basis. I'm an immigrant. I came here for school to Canada back in 2007. So me and my wife, we were living in downtown, the usual downtown. And we both work downtown. So we were like, okay, let's try to find a place. So we started looking around. This was when the market was not really, really huge, right? So right when everybody was, okay, let's get our first home. So we were looking to buy in Brossard because of the new REM. Back then, they were still planning to bring the REM, which is still, yet to happen. So we bought the property. I mean, we went and saw a semi-detached we really liked. It was just a walking distance to Panama. And then my wife, the reason why I'm just telling the story so that, it makes sense why I got in this journey. So we saw the property. We were supposed to put an offer. We put an offer. Offer got accepted. We did the inspection. This was all during the day. So my wife is from a bigger city in India. I'm from a smaller town, and she's always used to people. So that's why we were living downtown. So one evening we went for a drive. We went to Brossard, and it was dark. It was a neighborhood. Nobody was walking. And my wife looked at me and she said, "We're not moving here." Right. So because so that's how me, I always had a thought in my mind that you have an answer for everything. You can always find a solution for everything, right? So that night I went on Kijiji Facebook Marketplace, put an ad for the house saying that it will be rentable when the day on closing. I looked at the market around. I thought, okay, maybe I can rent it for $1,800. So I put it on ad on Kijiji. That night, people started pinging, and then I talked to my realtor, told them that I wanted to do an open house before I close the property. So I did an open house. People came in, they saw the property, and then me and my wife, we went there to show the place, and then we did the due diligence just by back then without knowing any knowledge. I just did my own stuff. I just went to Credit Karma because I wanted to cheap out. I went to Credit Karma, created like another fake account, and then did a credit check on them, and then called their workplace, try to just ask about
Confirm.
exactly, do the due diligence process, right? And then we found it, and then on the day of the property we're closing, these guys moved in, and after 2 months, I'm like, okay, so we just closed the property. We have somebody living in that property, paying the rent, and without knowing, I was cash flowing $350 without knowing. Like back then, I didn't use any of the analyzer.
Yeah.
Little did I know, I just
Yeah.
just put an ad. Somebody came in, and I looked at the property, and then now after 2 months, I'm like, okay, this is something. There's something here.
Yeah.
Then that's how when you want something, you look for it, right? So like the reason why I say it is when I moved from Nova Scotia to Montreal, I didn't know anybody. So me, I always try to like look for different groups which I wanted. So I'm big into sports. So I play badminton, I play volleyball. So I started looking for meetup groups. So this comes to mind where it says when the student is when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? The
Yeah.
first teacher that appeared was Axel. Like I'm not telling this because of you're interviewing. Everybody knows it around me. So that's how I saw the meetup group of Axel's meetup group, right? And then once I went in, it was just mind blowing. So when you're in a room of people with like-minded people, you tend to learn so much, which is beyond addictive. And this comes to another people who are listening had to relate small little things in your life, right? So when I went there, then I realized that people are coming in and they're telling what they wanted. Then I started telling what I wanted. So back to what Axel said, after 2 months, I came in and I said, hey, I wanted a duplex in South Shore because I saw the market. And then that's how I came to tell people that always tell everything what you wanted.
Yeah.
So that people would remember you and say that, okay, yeah, Bava's looking for a duplex. So I went to Axel's group and I started telling that, hey guys, I need a duplex. And then Axel referred me to two other people, and I called them. And that person was one of the reasons I pivoted my journey, and then I started investing in Chattagate, right? So coming back to whatever Axel is saying is like, when you want something, you got to tell people.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And people can't help you if they don't know what you're looking for or how to help you. So you're absolutely right. It's important to let them
100%.
know. And so you've attended the meetup group, the Very Real Estate Effect, very diligently. And then I remember you saying like, oh yeah, well, I found another one in Chattagay. Oh, I'm closing next month. And then a little bit after, like, oh, I found like another property, I'm closing. And at some point, like within a 1 year period, I was like, damn, Bava, like you're on fire, man. You're going full throttle on this. So kind of let's fast forward a bit. And so now we're kind of 2 years later, roughly, like, or how many units do you have, and what kind of, yeah, well, let's start with that. How many properties do you have now?
Okay, so currently we have a door of 10 doors right now. So after I met Axel and after I met people in the group, and then during all those time, I started listening to a lot of podcasts, reading a lot of books. I started investing first I started with South Shore. People were listening now, Axel's podcast, people are listening all over the world. So just to give them context, so Brossard is just 15 minutes from downtown, and then I invested starting like 20 minutes away, 30 minutes away from center of Montreal. So I started investing in Chattagay, and I started investing in Messier. And after listening to a lot of podcasts, people started investing in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. I used to live in Halifax, but back then I didn't have the investor mindset. So and once I started listening to podcasts, people are saying, people were saying why they invest in New Brunswick. So and then I started reaching out to people, reaching out to realtors, reaching out to property managers, and then I started investing in New Brunswick too. So I have a triplex, but I do as a rooming house, like a
Okay.
student rental. So it's near to the University of Moncton. So that's how, when you say pivotal journey, it's like pivoting your mindset, right? Like it only happens when you pivot your mindset. When people
Yeah.
say, "Oh, I pivoted my journey," it's because the more book you read, the more you're exposed, the more you network, the more people you talk to, right? And
Yeah.
then the more people you talk to, you get more knowledge about that, right? So
Yeah. And also when you allow yourself to
yeah,
pivot and for you to be comfortable, because at some point we want to make a change in our, in investing thesis and like, oh, instead of investing in Quebec, I'd like to invest in New Brunswick, but we're still a bit hesitant. And at some point, the real pivot and shift I find happens like when we get comfortable with it and we're like, yeah, I'm comfortable. Like that's what I'm going to do. And I allow myself to do this, and I'm going to take all the necessary steps to actually reach that. And so, as you put it, like it's really the mindset happens when you give it to yourself. And so, you had shared with me previously, like when you started to look at New Brunswick, then you start to look to search for bigger properties.
right.
And so how did that go?
Okay, so everybody in their life, when they know that you're going towards a goal, and at some point you feel stuck, right? Everybody feels that way. So I was at a point where, in last year and a half, we pivoted to our journey, and then at some point so me and my wife, we were investing, and at some point you feel stuck in terms of you won't be able to, go more further in terms of your mindset, in terms of how big a property is, because you see people out there. Me, I don't like to say how many units. It's just basically now people in social media are talking about 100 doors, 200 doors. But I always had a thing for apartment buildings. Like back in the head, I was like, I always wanted to own an apartment building for just because I wanted to. I didn't know anything. I just know very little about, what is the like what is a cap rate, how to calculate return of investment, what is cash on cash. I did not know anything. So I think it was November last year, 2021. That's the time. I said, okay, I wanted to invest in multifamily. So then I started telling people that, hey, I wanted to invest in multifamily. Then at that point, even before that, I was looking for coaches to help me, right?
Okay.
Because I was always against coaching. I was like, you can find anything online. You can find anything, on Google. Yes, you can, but you need an accountability partner, or you need to have surrounded by like-minded people.
Yeah.
So the reason why I say you have to be surrounded by like-minded people, you're different every single second. Your mind is not right all the time. So when I'm in a group of, let's say, real estate meetup. So when you go in, your energy is different. When you're on there, the energy is super high. And then when you come and then you take notes of so every single time when I go to an event and I come back, I always take my notebook and I keep it in the car. When I come
Mhm.
and sit down in the car, I write down what are the stuff I learned and what I took out of it,
Yeah.
right? So that it's fresh off the mind. And then I go recollect the next day just to ping those people that I talk to, so that I can set up a call, right? The reason why I tell this is like, I needed some group where I needed coaching, because I was against coaching. I always started looking at different people, and it was, it comes to the Buddha sayings, like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And then I found a mentor, and I'm getting coaching with them, and it's basically correcting your mindset,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's realigning.
Exactly,
Mm.
because you don't know what you don't know,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
when I had the coach, and then when he made me to realize that, okay, like you can dream of everything and you can actually make it happen. Even like when you meet different people, they always talk about 100 units, 200 units, and you would be in the wow, right? And like, oh my God, how can people do that, right? Because it's all about the mindset, right? It's all about the mindset. Like back then, I would give a really good example. When you're a kid, you had $5 with you. When you have, $100, or people have thousands, you will be looking at it and say, oh my God, that's a big money. But when you're 20-year-old, 10,000 still looks big money. And when you're
Yeah.
30-year-old and you make 100,000, 1 million is like 1 million. So that's
Yeah.
how it's all about perspective, right?
Yeah.
So, and this whole perspective changed for me. Like, I still remember, Axel, like, I mean, the day we sat down, you had a private dinner event, and people who
Yeah.
are listening, Axel do have private events, and he makes you to sit down with people who actually made it in their life, right? He picks and chooses people who he wants to sit down so that you have access to that kind of people. He puts you in a spot where you see yourself in 5 years, but on a dinner table. That's how I saw it,
Yeah.
right? Because people always get intimidated by saying they see all this, bigwigs people, paying $1,000 to get on a room to have a dinner with table. Axel is creating that kind of vibe, and he's giving back to people, right? That's how I saw. So when I sat in the dinner, we were talking about goals. Usually when you go to a dinner with another friends or family, you just talk about what you
About
went
how
through.
how
Yeah,
was your day?
exactly. But
Yeah.
this is a different vibe. When you sit in a people and talk about goals, how everybody can help each other,
Yeah.
right? And then that's how you started telling people. At that time on December, I said, I want 100 doors, because it's not to boast off or whatever, just to put yourself in your mind saying that, yes, you can do it and how far you can achieve, right?
Hmm.
So I always compare that to, running or health, right? People just say like, oh, people always talk about doors or whatnot. It's kind of it's not a show off. It's a show off for you, right? Like people just say, okay, when I look, I always connect things, right? So every time I meditate, I say only one thing. I said, please help me connect things. So the reason why I say this is when people run for 5K and then they can increase for 10K, that is kind of, increasing your brain set. That's how I
Yeah.
look at indoors, right? If I say 10 doors, if I want 100 doors, I am increasing my limit capacity of my mindset, how much it can take it. So the reason why I said, like, I said 100 doors. I sat in the dinner table with Axels and I told I want 100 doors, right?
That's true.
And I was visualizing that I would, 2022, I would get 100 doors. I don't care, I'm gonna get it, but I'm gonna get it. On December 25th, I still remember that day, December 25th. I was just before that, I was posting on different social media saying that I'm an investor. I would like to buy properties across Canada. And one person messaged me and, he said, hey, Baba, I have a 45 unit deal in Nova Scotia. If you're interested, please ping me,
Hmm.
right? And you talk about the reason why I so stress about mindset, about manifestation, about visualization is you have to put yourself out there before even it's happening. So
Yeah.
right,
And
because I said it, I told everybody 100. It just came back.
exactly.
It just
Yeah.
came back,
And
right?
and the thing is, this is a fabulous example that just demonstrates like you clearly stated your goal and you're comfortable with it. That's what you want. You've thought about it. You were
Right.
able to articulate it to the world. And literally a week later, someone sends you exactly what you're looking for. And that only happened because you allowed yourself to be comfortable with it and to look for it. And you told people so they can actually help you.
That's it. That's it.
And
It's
it,
as simple. It's not
yeah,
rocket science. It's nothing. It just goes back to like people who are listening, just take time just to understand what I was trying to say is like it started as a one door. I just told Axel that hey, I want a duplex in South Shore. It's the exact same scenario, but I'm just telling people that I want multifamily. That's
yeah,
the only difference. There's nothing. It's just really not rocket science. And I was just so curious, Axel, when that person messaged me, I said, "Why did you message me?" Right? And then
yeah.
he was laughing, right? And then he gave a phone number, and then I called him and I said, "Why did you message me? Like, hey, thanks for your message." But I asked, "Why did you
Yeah.
message me?" And he goes, Baba, it's funny that you ask. I never go to Facebook or never go to groups. So after 3 weeks, he said, I logged on Facebook and I went to that group and I saw your post. And then you said you were looking for multifamily buildings and whatnot. And I clicked on your name and I saw you're in Montreal and I'm based in Montreal too. And I said, okay, this guy seems he's in Montreal and he's looks like he's legit. And I'm going to message him. You see the timing? That's what I call universe is aligning.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's because you are letting yourself to put yourself out there, right?
Hmm.
Because people always talk about like, I achieved this and that and I achieved not and that. I really wanted to stress about this deal, and Axel knows about this deal. Like, this is a 45 unit deal, and it was in Nova Scotia, and I'm so happy that the deal did not go through.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait. So that's December 25th. You got that, and then I guess beginning of January, you actually made an offer and put it under contract.
Yeah. So I made an offer. So we had it under contract on January 21st.
Okay.
Okay, and the closing date was March 11th.
Okay.
So I only had a month and less than 12 days to close the deal. And guys, people who are listening, I never raised money before. All the deals that we did was just my own money, me and my wife. And this is one of my biggest deal that I was working on because I never raised money. This was a huge, you're looking at 3 triplex to a 40plex, right?
Yeah.
And this was a portfolio deal.
And sorry, just to put it back in perspective, and it doesn't have to be the exact accurate numbers, and that's fine. But like, so you said it was 45 units. What was roughly the price for the total portfolio?
The price was 2.1.
2.1. Oh, wow. Okay. Like on a per door basis, this is a dream. Okay.
It's
2.1. So you needed to raise what, like 500,000?
Yes. So I was able to, we got some VTB from the seller.
So that's vendor take back.
Vendor take back.
Okay.
We got a vendor take back, but I was able to raise 300K for this.
Okay. Okay. And you would have been able to close with 300K plus your financing.
200. Yeah, 200%.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And so you said it didn't work out. Like what happened? Because sometimes I hate to say, like, the best deals are the ones we don't make.
That's
but it's disappointing because it's so easy to fall in love with it and to think of the outcome without realizing that it may not be such a good idea, even though we like the outcome. So kind of walk us through, like, what happened.
Yeah, for sure. So January 21st, we had it under contract, and then we had to close within a month. So during that process, I learned so much within a month and a half because I was the only guy, dealing with partnership management, which is my financial partner. And then I had to deal with getting quotes for insurance, working with the inspectors. I had the appraisal going on, and I had the renovation cost that we had to put it on there, right? So the reason why I said, like, this is one of the biggest deal, and I'm so glad that it didn't go through, was yes, there are mistakes are learned in this process, and people who are listening, I want you to always take notes on stuff that when things didn't go through. I learned so much, so I'm just going to share like what I think it went wrong and what could have I could have done it better. So the day you get it under contract, I specify people to take time and call 3 person on every single aspect. Like, get quotes from 3 different insurance companies, get a quote from 3 different mortgage brokers, get a quote from inspection for 3 different people on the same day. On the exact same day, you put when they accept your offer. Yeah. Because timing was just everything. Timing is just everything. Because I had only a month and a half. And
that's short, by the way, for a transaction like that. I would have expected at least 60 days to close once you lift conditions.
That's it. It was just like, maybe that's why I had to learn this lesson to pivot my journey as well. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I say the same day you got to put everything was insurance comes back when asking a lot of questions. And so this one was, we did not have a realtor dealing with it. It was just a direct deal between a buyer and the seller, right? And so the lesson I learned, next time I will have a realtor
to do some of the work and do some of the coordination.
The reason why I tell this is because the last when I wanted to come out of the deal, I did not. So the seller was pretty much like, you have to pay their lawyer fees. So he came back and told me that I had to pay his lawyer fees.
Lawyer fees for what?
Exactly, because he said that they had a VTB. We had a VTB agreement. Okay. And his lawyer pretty much messaged my lawyer. They just told 2 conditions on the. They just told 2 conditions on the email, and they said I had to pay for the lawyer, right? And my lawyer said, you can do whatever you want. You can take him to court. Me, I said, I just don't want to deal with it. I just want to finish the deal. We did not go on a good terms. So let's try to back up. And then I just don't want to paste it, right? And I ended up paying their property manager's time, right? I was being the nice guy, and the owner was like, he was like, you got to pay it, and these guys were letting them dry. The property managers, me, I always took it as a lesson. I said, I'm going to pay this money right now. The whatever money I'm paying right now, it's going to come in tenfold. The reason why I say it is, I told him, hey, buddy, listen, I spent time with you. I flew to Nova Scotia a couple of times. I went for inspection. I went for appraisal, and they spent time because it's 40 unit. They had to let the tenants know. They put easy 20 hours, right? And I said, I'm okay to pay the amount right now, but in favor, all I want is if there's any off-market building in that area, I want you to call me the first one. Okay,
Fair.
That's the only thing I asked him, right?
Yeah.
I said, so that's how you build relationship.
Yeah.
And then I told him, like, this is, I don't mind paying this amount right now, because in 10 years, if you bring me a deal, or in 5 years or 2 years, and you would be the property manager, right?
Yeah.
I guarantee that you will be the property manager. So that's okay, right? So going back to the why did the deal did not work through is the property asset we were buying was a cash flow property. And we are talking about secondary market. It's not a primary market like Montreal. We are talking about secondary market. So secondary markets, you can raise the rent, and there's no people out there to pay that kind of rent. All you can do is optimize the heating or the building. So that was our strategy. So when I was planning to get the property, I was talking to Nova Scotia Power to get some grants to put some heat pumps, so that we can make sure the property is heated in a cost-effective way. Because in Nova Scotia, it's all about, like, it's old buildings and it's all oil. That's why each province has their own rules. So people who are listening, make sure that wherever investing, just be strong on your rules in that area, and then talk to the local property managers. They're always on top of the game, and they have to know their game, right?
Yeah.
So in that property, it was all included. Electricity, everything was included. So
to the owner's expense.
Exactly. So that's why the only way to optimize is to not increase the rent. There's no
offload utilities.
Exactly. So it all comes to how you look at things and how you pursue it based on the property. Each property has different strategy, right? And so the insurance that they put in, when I got the quote, the reason why I say you need 3 people is the first person, I only went on one. Little did I know, right? And that quote came 15,000 more than the current asking.
Woo!
So exactly. So if that comes in, what happens is that will go take money on your cash flow.
Oh yeah, that's no go.
Exactly. And when I got a quote from the inspection, and that's why I say, like, you gotta do all your due diligence, right? And he said the quote he gave was good, but I ended up going with the same inspector, because that's the time when I went there. I tried to meet different people there for quotes, and then he ended up giving a good quote. But for the construction, the guy gave me 450,000 quote to do the renovations for all the properties, because it's a portfolio deal, right? And then with all this happening, and I went back to the seller, and I told him, hey, listen, this is the deal, and I got a quote for this. I need an extension, right? And the seller said, that's fine, Bava. I can give you an extension, but you promised me that you would close it on March 11th. So on March 11th, you're going to take all the expenses under your name.
No.
Then I said, what's going on, right?
No.
Because that's why when you need to connect the dots, like right from the get-go. At the beginning, he was just an amazing gentleman, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, oh my God, this is my biggest deal. I was just so pumped. I'm going to do it. And then I got blindsided about small little things. Every time when I said something to him, he said, Bava, email me. Right. Me, I was just texting him. Right. Because I had the relationship saying that, like, hey, this guy is really like him. And then, that's another lesson I learned. It's an expensive lesson. But guys, anytime you're dealing with off market or any deal or with the seller, email every single thing. Do not text. There's no proof. text is no proof, voice call is no proof. This comes from a lawyer, right? And he told me, Bava, the mistake you did was half of the stuff you did it on the text or phone.
Yeah, the
You email
communication was taken too lightly. Yeah, and I actually
exactly
have to slightly disagree because now text messages are admissible in court.
correct.
Yeah,
But like certain things, if you don't have enough conversation going on, let's say I talk something on the phone,
and you
right?
don't
And then
confirm in writing. Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
my core, but yeah, you're right. You can take the text too, but guys, email doesn't matter if you're, it doesn't matter how close you are to the seller or the buyer, you be on the both the sides. Just to protect yourself, email everything. That's
yeah.
another biggest lesson I learned, right? And half of the step was missed. And and my lawyer was like, you
Oh,
just
so
can't go back from it.
so that deal started to smell bad when the attitude of the sellers kind of started to shift.
That's it. That's it.
Okay.
At
So
the
so
beginning, yeah,
so
that's
so
why
sorry.
no, that's why I said have a realtor in between, right?
Mm, yeah.
So during when things are going amazing, you won't look the bad side. But me, I was exactly the same thing. And when things didn't go right, I really felt that I wish I had a realtor in the middle. So that at
Mhm.
the last, so me being the nice guy, I called them. I said, "Hey, seller, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Let's go for a coffee after 2 weeks." After 5 minutes, I got an email from his lawyer saying that I had to pay his lawyer fees, right?
Wait, I'm sorry.
So
What?
yes,
You proposed to go for coffee, and
yes,
then you got a message from his lawyer.
saying that I had to pay for his lawyer fees because they were working on the VTB, which we never signed anything, right?
No,
So,
that's on your side. I mean,
exactly.
but what I've heard is that if you negotiate a balance of sale or vendor take back, depending on how you want to call it, it's sometimes yes for the seller to pay for the cost to set it up at the notary with the lawyer. But
That's
if the
it.
seller is dealing with his lawyer, that's his expense.
It is his expense. So
Oh,
me, like I just wanted to get out of the deal because I was just going left, right, and center on this. And I had money on the table. I had
yeah,
a deposit that I put in for the property.
yeah.
I paid for the appraiser. I paid for the inspection. So I'm already
And
like
you
having,
and you flew over there and you spent some time and yeah, yeah,
so that's why I just feel like when people who are going through bigger deals try to have, these are the costs I'm telling is 20 to 20 30 grand, right? So that people just, it's, I would have been so happy if I had somebody in the middle
yeah.
to deal with both of them, right? So
Mhm.
when the things are not good, the emotions are different, and then I just felt like I was betrayed. But I was very down after that, and even Axel knows, and like that was my one of the biggest lesson, right? I had to go through this to know exactly what a process would be. Because if
Yeah,
let's say the deal would have gone through, I would have not known what a bad side or how do I deal when the things are not right in my mindset. Because the past 2 years before that, anything I was touching, it was golden. It was amazing. I did
yeah,
not have to go through any bad deal to know what a mindset is much more important than that is, right? That's why I keep stressing that when things are right, your mindset is amazing. But the
yeah.
mindset kicks in. It's like your reserve, right? Your
Yeah,
mindset
the
helps.
proof of mindset is when things don't go well.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
then me, I could just go on and say things like, "Oh my God, I lost money. Like I lost a deal. This was my biggest deal." And but during this process, I learned so much about raising money. Building that JV partnership. I still
Yeah.
remember one day I had to call 80 calls that day just to follow up on things because you're dealing with multiple stuff, right?
Mhm.
So this was my biggest lesson. I'm so glad the deal didn't go through. I'm
Yeah.
sure if I went through, I'm sure there was something bigger in that I would have missed, right?
Probably. And the thing is, again, like sometimes the best deals are the ones we don't make because we learn from them and it saves
100%.
us from probably like hundreds of $1,000s of future mistakes. So yeah,
For
maybe for
sure.
you in that case, it was a $20,000 lesson. I'm happy it happened, Bava. Good for
Me
you.
too.
Good
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so now I was gonna say, so that was done since like March, April, and so
Okay.
like because we're wrapping up here. What are you up to now?
Okay. Now, so like just talking to more people as well, keeping on networking and going to a lot of events. So now we're working on a deal with partnership with Rodrigo, right?
Yep.
We have a nineplex, which we call a fiveplex, and a commercial under contract. And then there's an offer that we submitted for a 15 unit in Shawinigan. And one of the property in that is a duplex, and we're planning on a land development with that converting from a duplex to a eightplex. And I have another fiveplex, an offer accepted actually this morning, and I'm going on inspection next week. That's in Shawinigan as well. And then there's another off market that just came by through the comes back to the story that tell everybody what you wanted. So the guys we're dealing with, I have another 70 unit that's in Shawinigan, that's in the pipeline. So it's just very small, guys. It's very small. Like all you got to do is just tell everybody what you wanted, and then it will just come to you in a silver platter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
eventually it'll happen. And it's also about consistency. Like it's every day, every week, every month, keep going and keep going. So many people want to invest in real estate and they kind of look at listings for 2 months and then like, oh, I'll just wait that the market is better. And then it's a year later and they've never done a single offer and stuff like that. And you're the exact opposite. You're consistent. You keep going at it. And it's a marathon and not a sprint. So, okay. So as we're wrapping up here, what people who are listening, if they want to help you, how can they do that?
If they wanted to help me, they could just, one thing I wanted to, learn from other people is what books they're reading, right? That can pivot their journey, and what went wrong in their deals, right? And people are listening, if they wanted to, even reach out to me to ask about my deal, feel free. The deals that didn't go through, because there are so many people out there who's telling about the deals that went through. I'm more than happy to tell and talk to anybody to talk about the deal that didn't go through. So, yeah.
Super. And if they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to go about it?
Yeah, so I'm super active on Instagram. People can reach out to me in my Instagram business page. It's rice.investments. My company name is Rice Investments, and the motto on the Rice Investments is let's grow together. So I want people around me growing spiritually, mentally, financially. That's why I said let's grow together.
Yeah.
Right.
You have one thing I admire about you is that you've proven that you're able and successful, but you have a very good mindset, and that's something I really enjoy with you, and that I actually quite admire, because not everyone is as positive as you are, Bava. So props.
Thank you, Axel. I think it's because of the people that you surround with. Really matters, and it's so underrated that people don't realize. Like, it's like some of these events, you go there, you don't even have to drink. Like, just by meeting people, you're just super energetic. Imagine that you're doing that every day to yourself, right? So that's the biggest thing. So yeah.
Hey, Bava, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been a real pleasure. I've been wanting to share your story for quite a while. To me, you're a really good testament of perseverance and how success happens. So really keep it up. And I know I'll see you at the next event in a couple of weeks and stuff like that. So I'm actually quite excited for it. And you know what? A year from now, come back on the show and let us know like all the deals that you just talked about, like how's it going, where you're at, and so on. It's fun to see the evolution.
No, 100%. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm very grateful for Axel, to start this group. He's a guy who's always a giver. I think he is who he is because of what he's done to himself and what he's done to the society. So people who are new listeners, who are starting out in real estate, please do follow Very Real Estate Effect. That changed my life. I'm one of my proof. It's because, you meet the right group, and it changes your lifestyle, it changes your mindset, it changes how you think can pivot your journey in terms of real estate as well. So people who are listening, please, connect, scroll, follow, share to a friend.
Share it to a friend.
Right?
Share it to a friend that it can help. Thank you so much, Bava. It really means a lot.
Sharing is caring. I always, whenever I see Axel, I remember sharing is caring, because he was always sharing for what he cared about, which is real estate. So I'm one of the best group guys. So please make use of Axel. He's his podcast is available, and share it with a friend or not. And I always listen to it, and it changes your mindset. So thank you again, Axel.
Pleasure. Thanks a lot, man. To everyone listening, thank you very much. Stay tuned and go and research your market, go make some offers, educate yourself in real estate, and in the long run, you'll be successful. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next week. Ciao.